Welcome to Journal Club number 5, presented to you by Finster, Carly, and Allie. Our group decided to review a prospective study of diet quality and mental health in adolescents. This was an observational, cross-sectional study that was used to examine the relationship between diet quality and common mental disorders, specifically depression and anxiety. Over 3 years, data was collected on adolescents by a self-report. Improvements in diet quality are proportional to improvements in mental health. The study found that the healthier an adolescent's diet score, the higher his or her Pediatric Quality of Life Inventory (PEDS QI or QL score would be. The 9 steps of the research process. First, the population. A little over 3,000 Australian adolescent students aged 11 to 18. The research goal. Finding the relationship between health and mental disorders. 3. Type of research. Observational, cross-sectional. Then the research decided how rigorous. They used a quasi-experimental longitudinal cohort, meaning it was done over many years. The variables that our group found was truthfulness in answering the questionnaire, due to the fact that adolescents were answering it on their own, and that feelings are subjective. Though the PEDS QI score was shown in other research projects to be a good way to put a value scale to this, it still is a bit subjective. And also demographics. Sampling. 12 schools found that a little over 6,000 students were eligible, and a little over 3,000 actually participated. The follow-up included 2,000 students. The research plan. Each of the students were given an 84-question survey along with measurements with the PEDS QL scores, and they were given 30 minutes to finish it. The data was analyzed with descriptive statistics to determine linear regression, and the journal article was written so that we could share it here with you in Journal Club. Although there are previous studies that examine the relationship between diet quality and mental health in adults, the goal of this study was to examine the association in adolescents. The hypothesis that they grew was, is there a causality between changing diet quality and reversing the adolescent's mental health on their PEDS QI scores? The participants, as we said, 3,000 adolescents, and it was within the Barwon Southwestern region of Australia, and we talked about how 2,000 participated in the follow-up, but the population size of the region is a little over 350,000 people, just to give you an idea of how dense the region is. The questionnaires, 30 minutes, 84 questions. They were asked questions on nutritional habits, physical activity, mental health, well-being, perceptions and attitudes of various environments such as school, home, and their neighborhood. The exposure variable, dietary practices were evaluated based on the adolescent's access to various healthy versus unhealthy types of foods. And then for the outcome variables, the Pediatric Quality of Life Inventory was used, and it ranked on a 0 to 100 score, with the higher scores indicating better quality, and the lower scores showed a higher depressive rate. The covariates were collected, so demographic information, age, gender, socioeconomic status, BMI, and also physical activity. This is just a table that we wanted to show you that we found helpful in the article. This is a statistical analysis that was used to determine if the variable diet quality and mental disorders had a linear regression. So you can see that here in the table. Within the follow-up period, the hypothesis that change in diet would be associated with a change in mental health was supported. Increases in healthy diet scores were associated with higher PEDS QI or QL scores, and increases in unhealthy diet scores resulted in a lower PEDS score. So there was an association going both ways. Our group found that the biggest strength is the number, so the sampling size was a pretty good amount, 3,000 students. But there were some limitations. So regionally specific, it was in Australia, which can definitely have a variable in what types of food are offered there or how much outdoor activity they can do around here. Also, it doesn't state what specific time of the year it was tested. Time periods such as the holidays could be a little bit harder in both regards, mental health and healthy diet. So this could be a variable. And also limitations to the data available to construct the dietary scores. It lacked specific information about the composition of the meal and more specifically about certain proteins. So was this fish and lean meat, or are we talking red meat or more of like a fatty meat? What's next? So our group is basically looking, and we said future studies with widened parameters, domestic or global, could show specific regions that have healthier dietary habits. Therefore, a hypothesis could be generated to test for the habit influence on diet and mental health. We think that would be a really cool study. And then also, additional studies could follow the adolescents from age 11 to 18 to see if the relationship between mental health and healthy living is something that can be maintained or sustained throughout those years. This study was only for 3 of those years, and we would like to see the whole 7 years incorporated due to the fact that adolescents are learning who they are, how much activity they want to do, the types of foods they want to eat, and they're more independent thinkers. So this would be another cool way to look at another study. We hope you enjoyed our presentation, and we look forward to your questions. So please let us know what you think about the study.